When life wants to teach someone a lesson, it doesn't send warnings, it sends balance. The same hands that throw thorns your way will one day walk barefoot through their own field of pain. That's how the universe corrects itself. Call it karma, call it consequence, call it the silent mathematics of cause and effect. But no one escapes it. Critics, doubters, and quiet saboteurs think they're playing you, but they're only setting the stage for their own downfall. Every rumor they spread becomes the rope that tightens around their own influence. Every trap they dig for you becomes the foundation for your rise. That's the law of cosmic balance. It bends toward the aware, not the bitter. Because when you're chosen, your growth isn't personal, it's universal. The energy that tried to break you becomes the very fuel that expands you. While they gossip, the universe adjusts the spotlight. While they plot, alignment shifts in your favor. It's almost poetic. Their envy writes your prophecy. Remember this: the chosen don't chase revenge. Their evolution is the revenge. Your calm presence becomes their mirror, your success their sleepless night. So, to every chosen one watching this, if you've felt their eyes, their whispers, their quiet jealousy, know that balance is already at work. Their noise builds your momentum, their hate builds your legend. Like the storm that only sharpens the diamond it tries to bury, you're not cursed. You're calibrated. Press like, subscribe, and step forward, because your rise is already haunting them. Before we move further, take a second to ground yourself, because what's coming next will shift how you see everything. You're not just watching a video, you're stepping into alignment with a power that already lives in you. The same power that made your smile break the code they were never meant to reveal. From this point on, every second you stay here strengthens that frequency, sharpens that awareness, and draws success closer with precision. So before we go deeper, do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop 99 in the comments. Not as a number, but as a signal. A mark that says you see through the illusion, and you're still rising. Each click, each comment, adds to this frequency, a digital ripple that echoes far beyond the screen. Stay till the end, because what's about to unfold isn't just information, it's activation. Number 1. Stop living by their script. Write your own truth before they cast you in their lie. They thought the only way to control you was to choreograph you. They planted scenes, recycled conversations, placed certain people around you at very specific moments, and waited to see if you would react on schedule. That was their whole system: trigger, arrow reaction, arrow data, arrow control. They don't feel powerful unless you flinch. They don't feel above you unless you explain yourself. They don't feel relevant unless your emotions feed them. But you did something they did not prepare for. You learned their tempo. You saw the pattern in the pauses. You realized they weren't spontaneous. They were operating off a script. And then you committed the most dangerous act a watched person can do. You went quiet. Not weak quiet. Strategic quiet. The kind of stillness that says, I see everything and I refuse to dance. That's when their setup cracked. Because control without your participation is just theater. They had roles ready for you: the overreactive one, the sensitive one, the one we can't tell the truth to. But you didn't step into any of it. You didn't argue, you didn't panic, you didn't chase the explanation. You let silence do the exposing. And silence is ruthless. It shows who needed the drama to survive. Here's what they didn't expect: your smile. Not the social smile, the knowing smile, the I caught you mid-performance smile. That single expression was like pulling the fire alarm in a building full of secrets. Because a person who smiles while being watched is a person they can't predict. That smile told them, your little observation isn't private anymore. And when the watcher realizes they're being watched, their confidence collapses. Their power wasn't spiritual, it wasn't mystical, it wasn't even intelligent, it was dependent. Dependent on you being unaware. Your energy didn't just ruin their plan, it scrambled it. Think of it like this: they were trying to run old software on a system that just updated itself. Your awareness became the update. Every time you didn't react, every time you walked in calm, every time you refused to defend yourself to people who were never confused, their program returned the same result. Error, access blocked, target no longer manipulable. And you know what they did to cover it? They called it coincidence. Oh, the meeting fell through. Oh, the rumor didn't spread. Oh, the plan just didn't work this time. Number. It wasn't coincidence, it was consequence. When someone tries to move against a person the universe is currently aligning, pressure goes back to the sender. That's the balance we talked about earlier. Throw shade, lose your own light. Plant doubt, expose your own insecurity. Try to script a chosen one. End up acting in your own downfall. If you're feeling this, if you've noticed rooms go stiff when you enter, if people suddenly get nervous because you're not reacting the way you used to, lock in right now. Hit like, subscribe, and drop 99 in the comments so this frequency keeps circulating to people like you, people who were never meant to be managed. We're not done. We're going to break down exactly how your non-reaction turned surveillance into self-exposure. Stay right here. Number 2. Refuse to be their experiment. Evolve beyond the lab that measures your emotions. They thought they could study you like a specimen, observe, test, record, and predict your every reaction. To them, you were data, not a person. They wanted to measure your breaking point, your silence, your recovery time. Every heartbreak, every setback, every betrayal was another variable in their little emotional experiment. But what they never calculated was what happens when the subject wakes up. You didn't rebel, you evolved. You stopped giving them the responses they were waiting for. You became the variable that shattered their theory. Because once awareness enters the equation, control stops working. They built a lab around your emotions, a world of triggers disguised as relationships, validation disguised as kindness. They wanted you reactive because reaction is readable, but calm. Calm is chaos to manipulators. When you stopped flinching, their whole structure lost meaning. The scientist became the one under the microscope. Your peace exposed their intentions. Your restraint revealed their dependence on your pain. They expected you to panic. Instead, you became still. You turned observation into revelation. Understand this, chosen one. They can't analyze a soul that's no longer seeking approval. Your composure is encryption. Your self-control is a firewall. The moment you stopped trying to be understood, you became impossible to decode. Their tests no longer apply. Their formulas no longer fit. They're left staring at their broken charts, wondering how the variable learned to rewrite the experiment. So let them keep their lab coats and clipboards. You're already outside the glass. You're no longer their test. You're the result. And your evolution is the evidence they'll never be able to explain. Number 3. Don't let them scan your soul. Stay unprogrammable and make their system crash. They'll try to read you like data. Every word, every silence, every shift in your eyes, as if your spirit were a code they could decode. They'll study your reactions, measure your emotions, and attempt to chart your next move like analysts predicting a trend. But here's what they never understood. You were never built to be predictable. You're not part of their pattern. You're the disruption their algorithm can't process. Every time they think they've figured you out, your frequency changes. That's not inconsistency, that's evolution. You don't fit into their system because you're not running on their software. You're powered by awareness, real, raw consciousness that doesn't respond to manipulation. When they scan you, the signal doesn't return data, it returns distortion. You confuse their analysis because you feel deeply but don't react visibly, because you see everything yet choose peace over chaos. To a manipulator, that calm is chaos. To a controller, your silence is noise. They'll call you distant, mysterious, hard to read, but that's exactly what protects you. You're unreadable because you've learned to move in alignment, not in reaction. Every false smile, every subtle test, every emotional probe they throw your way bounces right back like static. Their system isn't built to handle authenticity. It crashes under real energy. So let them keep scanning. Let them run their simulations. You don't need to hide. Your very existence scrambles their network. The moment you stopped performing for their approval, you became the glitch they couldn't fix. Remember this, chosen one, your peace is your encryption and your awareness is the firewall. Every attempt to decode you will only corrupt their system further. You're not meant to be understood. You're meant to be untouchable. Number 4. Smile like a weapon. Confuse their control with calm they can't decode. They never expected the smile. They rehearsed for your anger, prepared for your collapse, counted on you to break in the same predictable rhythm as everyone before you. But when the moment came, you didn't cry, shout, or explain. You smiled, and that one quiet curve of your lips shattered their entire framework, because a calm smile in the middle of their chaos isn't submission, it's disruption. It tells them that whatever they tried to use against you has already failed. That smile wasn't softness, it was strategy. It was lightning hidden inside serenity. They wanted a reaction to measure, a weakness to record, an emotion to weaponize. Instead, you gave them mystery. You gave them control's worst nightmare, equilibrium. You didn't fight their storm. You became the still point that silenced it. In that instant, they realized they couldn't track you anymore. Their influence vanished the moment you decided to express peace instead of pain. Understand this, calm isn't passive. It's power refined. It's the mark of someone who's already seen the battlefield, already decoded the game, and still chooses to smile because they know how it ends. That's why your smile haunts them. It's a mirror showing them their defeat in advance. The watchers, the manipulators, the ones who thought they owned your emotions, they crumble when they see you radiate joy they can't touch. So the next time they test your limits, remember who you are. You are the variable their system can't solve. You are the silence that erases their noise. Smile, not for them, but for yourself. Because that smile is your armor, your frequency, your victory wrapped in grace. It's the code they can't crack and the signal that says, you lost control the moment I stopped reacting. Number 5. Stop letting them watch you, become the witness, and turn their gaze into confession. They thought their eyes were invisible, that they could study you from behind their screens, behind fake smiles, behind rehearsed concern, and you'd never notice. They mistook your silence for blindness, your stillness for ignorance. But what they didn't know was that every time they watched you, you were learning them. You were mapping their intentions, reading their tone, decoding their disguises. You became the observer in a world full of pretenders. And the moment you stopped performing for their gaze, the balance shifted. The hunter became the hunted. Their stares were never curiosity, they were control. Watching you gave them comfort. It made them feel superior, powerful, until your awareness turned their gaze into a mirror. Suddenly, they weren't seeing you anymore. They were seeing themselves, exposed, small, desperate for validation. Your presence became confession. every nervous glance, every forced laugh, every fake act of kindness started revealing the truth they tried to hide. You didn't need to confront them. You didn't need to shout or accuse. You just needed to see. That's the power of the chosen ones. They don't fight for attention. They command it. They don't beg to be understood. They stand so still that the liars start trembling. You're not the subject anymore. You're the mirror that exposes the watcher. They tried to study you, but they ended up studying their own downfall. That's the curse of deception. It collapses under observation. So let them look. Let them analyze, gossip, and whisper your name in rooms that will soon echo with their regret. Because your awareness is justice in motion. You don't have to chase truth. You are the truth. And when truth walks into the room, every mask begins to melt. Number 6. Don't feed their chaos. Master your peace and short-circuit their emotional code. They designed their entire game around your emotions. Every sigh, every spark of anger, every flicker of doubt, recorded, studied, used as data to predict your next move. Their control isn't physical, it's psychological. They throw chaos your way, not because they want to destroy you, but because they need you to react. Reaction is their fuel. Confusion is their weapon. But here's the twist they never expected. What happens when you stop feeding the chaos? When you choose stillness instead of struggle? The moment you master your peace, their whole emotional algorithm collapses. They built systems that thrive on noise, but your calm creates silence, and silence short-circuits manipulation. You're not ignoring them, you're overriding their frequency. While they project fear, you radiate neutrality. While they test your patience, you answer with composure so unshakable it burns their circuitry. They call it detachment, you call it power. Because a chosen one doesn't chase validation or battle shadows, they stand so centered that deception loses access. Every time you stay calm when provoked, their plan malfunctions. Every time you smile instead of snapping, their strategy rewrites itself into failure. That's not weakness, it's precision. You're not playing the game, you're unplugging the board. Remember this, chaos only wins when you feed it attention. Withdraw your energy and you starve the system. That's the hidden art of power, the ability to remain unmoved in a world desperate for your reaction. So, chosen one, guard your peace like sacred code. Your calm isn't silence, it's sabotage. Your serenity isn't surrender, it's dominance in its purest form. They'll try to provoke, distract, and decode you, but they can't control what no longer responds. You're the variable they can't calculate, the calm they can't corrupt, and the silence that ends their storm. Number 7. Wake what they tried to bury. Remember who you were before they rewrote your spirit. They wanted you to forget, to shrink, to doubt the voice that once guided you when everything else was noise. They buried your fire under routines, opinions, and obligations, hoping you'd forget where your strength came from. They wanted you distracted, scrolling, reacting, explaining, so you'd never stop long enough to remember who you are. But memory doesn't die, it waits. And the moment you stopped running from silence, you heard it again, that pulse under your ribs that said, "I'm still here." The ones who tried to rewrite you never understood that the original script was carved too deep to erase. Every betrayal, every lie, every fake friend was an attempt to overwrite your frequency. But all they really did was polish the mirror you'd eventually look into. You weren't breaking down, you were being excavated. The real you was never lost, just buried beneath their projections. And now, every breath you take pulls the old you closer, the unfiltered, unbroken, unstoppable version of you that existed before the conditioning began. When you woke up, they felt it. Their control depended on your amnesia. The moment you remembered, the game ended. They'll call you cold, distant, changed, but they're only describing the part of themselves that can't reach you anymore. Your peace will haunt them because it's proof that their influence expired. The system can rewrite words, but it can't rewrite essence. You are returning to the raw code, authentic, unshakable, aligned. Chosen one, don't chase who you were told to be. Reclaim who you always were. The buried version of you wasn't a weakness, it was the blueprint of your strength. They thought they buried you, but they planted you. And now you're blooming in the soil of their mistakes. Number 8. Read the truth between the lines. Stay 3 moves ahead of every hidden agenda. They thought they could outsmart you with silence, with half-truths, with looks that said nothing but meant everything. They built their plans between the lines, whispering in coded language, convinced you'd never notice the pattern. But chosen ones don't listen to words. They read the spaces between them. You sensed it long before it reached your doorstep. The tension, the shift, the quiet rehearsals behind your back. You knew when something wasn't right, not because you saw proof, but because you felt distortion. That's what they fear most. Intuition sharper than evidence. While they were busy scripting the next move, you were already past it. You don't play on their board anymore. You watch the board. You read tone like data, energy like encrypted code, and silence like a full confession. Every time they think they're hiding something, they're actually broadcasting it in the language only awareness understands. And you've become fluent. They call it paranoia when you see through the act, but it's not paranoia. It's precision. You're not anxious. You're alert. You don't wait for the knife to fall because you already saw the shadow that held it. You read intent before it becomes action. That's why they're nervous now. Every hidden motive collapses under your observation. Every plan dies in your calm. Remember this, chosen one. The truth never hides from the one who's already seen it coming. You were never meant to follow their story. You were meant to rewrite it. Keep reading between the lines. Keep staying 3 moves ahead, because awareness isn't defense anymore. It's dominance. And when you walk with foresight, every scheme against you becomes a spoiler they can't undo. Number 9. Be the mirror, not the target. Let their lies expose themselves in your stillness. They wanted to aim at you, chosen one, to make you the target, the one who reacts, defends, explains. But the moment you stopped giving them motion to aim at, everything changed. Stillness isn't weakness, it's reflective armor. When you became the mirror instead of the target, their lies started turning back toward them like arrows losing direction. Every false word they launched ricocheted into their own narrative. Every twisted version of your story they tried to sell started to sound like a confession. That's the power of reflection. It doesn't fight back, it exposes. When you're the mirror, they can't hide behind masks. Their envy, their manipulation, their desperation, it all shows in the glass of your calm. You don't need to argue with them. The truth has a habit of echoing inside silence until it cracks. You've probably seen it happen. Someone tries to paint you as unstable, but ends up unraveling mid-sentence. Someone spreads rumors and ends up isolated by their own drama. That's not luck. That's cosmic symmetry in action. Stillness bends energy back to its source. They thought you'd lose power by refusing to respond, but your quiet dismantled their entire play. When you didn't flinch, you forced them to face themselves. That's the nightmare they never prepared for, being seen by their own reflection, because a liar can only survive when the mirror looks away, and you never looked away again. So stay still, chosen one. Stay clear. Let them keep talking, keep performing, keep showing the world who they are. You don't have to expose them, they'll do it themselves. That's the curse of deception. It can't stand under the gaze of truth. And you, chosen one, are that gaze. You're not the target anymore. You're the mirror that ends the game. Number 10. Break the illusion of control. Unplug from their power and watch the system collapse. They were never powerful. They were persuasive. They convinced you that your worth depended on their approval, that your silence meant weakness, that your peace could be stolen with pressure. Every move they made was built on one illusion, that you needed them. But the truth? Their control was never real. It existed only as long as you believed in it. The day you stopped reacting, they stopped existing as authority. The wires that held you down weren't chains. They were strings of manipulation. And the moment you saw them for what they were, you cut them with a single decision: detachment. You see, control doesn't die loudly. It fades in confusion when the chosen one no longer plays along. They thrive on your reaction, your emotion, your defense. They study your fear to calculate your obedience. But when you unplug, when you stop explaining, stop seeking closure, stop entertaining their chaos, you starve their machine. Their influence flickers like bad signal, their confidence glitches, and suddenly they're left arguing with silence. That's the collapse, not an explosion, a quiet erasure of their relevance. The chosen one doesn't fight for freedom, they remember it. That's what terrifies every manipulator, every false leader, every hidden hand behind the curtain. They know they can't command someone who's already self-governed. Your awareness is their expiration date. So walk away from their system with calm defiance. Every step you take without fear is another crack in their foundation. Watch how fast the structure they built on your energy falls apart without your participation. The game ends not when you fight back, but when you no longer need to. You're free, and that's the glitch they can't repair. Number 11. Win without reacting. Let your silence rearrange the entire game. They expected noise from you, rage, panic, explanation. That's how they win, by making you perform. But you did something they never saw coming. You went silent, and in that silence, the entire power dynamic flipped. Because silence isn't absence, it's architecture. Every second you stayed calm, the room restructured itself around your energy. They mistook stillness for surrender, but stillness is strategy. You weren't ignoring them. You were rearranging the game board while they were still shouting at the pieces. They came to provoke you, to feed on reaction, to drain your focus with chaos disguised as conversation. But you didn't bite. You didn't explain what only time could prove. You let their words echo into emptiness, and that echo destroyed their confidence. Nothing unsettles manipulators more than someone who doesn't engage their bait. You became unpredictable, and unpredictability breaks every script. Your silence turned into gravity. The heavier it became, the more their false power started collapsing into itself. Remember this, chosen one. When you no longer react, you stop orbiting their illusion. You become the center, the calm axis that everything else must adjust to. They lose direction because their moves were designed for the old version of you, the one who cared to clarify, who defended truth against lies. But now you understand that silence is its own verdict. You don't fight rumors, you outlive them. You don't chase validation, you radiate proof. Every pause, every breath, every quiet step you take is a recalibration of energy. That's why they look uneasy now. They feel the shift but can't trace it. You're not playing their game anymore. You're redefining it. Win without reacting, because silence doesn't just end battles, it rewrites history in your favor. Number 12. Guard your frequency. Become the firewall that burns every fake intention on contact. They thought they could decode you. Every glance, every pause, every quiet choice you made, they logged it, believing you were predictable data in their control system. But they were wrong. You were never a line of code. You were the encryption. Every attempt to read you only exposed how outdated their programming truly was. When they tried to enter your space with manipulation disguised as care, your energy didn't open, it burned. Not out of anger, but precision. Awareness has its own voltage, and yours fried every false signal the moment it touched your peace. They can mimic kindness, copy your words, even mirror your rhythm, but they can't fake frequency. Real energy can't be counterfeited. That's why every masked intention, every half-smile carrying hidden venom ends up self-destructing around you. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to announce it. Your calm is protection coded in silence. Their dishonesty hits your energy like malware hitting a firewall, blocked, neutralized, deleted. Remember this, chosen one, not everyone deserves access. You're not being cold, you're being secure. You've spent years upgrading your mind, refining your energy, and now you vibrate at a level their manipulation can't survive. When they approach you with poison behind politeness, their own frequency betrays them. It's not your job to expose them. The universe already did when their energy started glitching in your presence. So keep your boundaries sacred. Protect your peace like it's priceless code, because it is. Every time you stay centered while chaos tries to breach, you send one message back through the system: access denied. And that, chosen one, is how light keeps winning in silence. And now we reach the point where everything connects. Every lesson, every silence, every smile that broke their code has led you here. You've seen what awareness can do. It dismantles deception without a fight. From this moment on, protect your energy like gold, because that's what keeps the illusion from rebuilding. The same system that once studied you now fears your calm. You've become the variable they can't predict, the balance they can't disrupt. Before we go deeper, do 3 things right now. Like, subscribe, and drop the number 99 in the comments. Share this message with another chosen one who needs to remember: the code is already broken.